Thanks for joining us on Wellness Talk Radio. I'm Chris Costello, and today we're talking with Catherine Crawford. Catherine is a licensed marriage and family therapist and registered art therapist in Mountain View, California. She is also the author of The Highly Intuitive Child. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about highly intuitive children. And we're all sensitive, intuitive, and empathetic to one degree or another. But some of us are born more so. The highly intuitive child may pick up on unspoken issues in the home and take on the emotions of friends, absorb the mood in the classroom or the world at large, and even anticipate dangerous situations. The acutely receptive intuition of these children is always on, acting as a sixth sense. Because this emotional and sensory input is added to what they take in through the other five senses, it can be difficult to cope with, and their sensitivity can result in difficulty turning off and falling asleep, deep fears and anxieties that are hard to relieve, an exaggerated sense of responsibility about healing people or fixing situations, psychosomatic pains, spaciness, and difficulty making decisions, acting out stress they take in as anger or acting in the sadness of pain or others as depression. If you recognize these traits in a child, you can help. And Catherine Crawford, author of The Highly Intuitive Child, is joining us today on Wellness Talk Radio to help us find out more about the intuitive child. Catherine, great to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
So, Catherine, how does one define the highly intuitive child?
Well, I think I'd start by just identifying for everybody that we are all intuitive. So every child is born with these abilities, but some kids are born with this as an innate trait occurring more frequently. And because of that, it impacts most areas of their life. It's going to impact who they are in relationship, how they make sense of life, and it certainly impacts their stress levels, and because of that, how they take care of their body. And you've already mentioned, a number of the ways that parents might identify this in their kids. I'd add to that list that parents are probably noticing that these qualities of intuition or that ability to know something in a way that bypasses the rational, linear mind is there from a very early age. So they're going to see this even, as soon as that child is able to talk. They see it in toddlers. They'll see it in their speaking children who are able to identify the needs for babies and the pet and the family. They're often very concerned about the feelings of others. They're even concerned about the world at large. And many of these kids will also express a sense of feeling really different from their peers. They certainly don't look different. You really would never even know that these kids are highly intuitive in a classroom or in the soccer field. But their way of being able to make sense of life and move through life can feel quite different.
And so what kind of things can parents look for? What kind of things will kids be saying if they tend to be a highly intuitive child?
Well, they're going to, when they're young, they may say something like they're very good at being able to pick up on the unspoken. So perhaps if parents are in the midst of a conflict, but they're being very discreet about it, that child might come up to them and say, "Are you mad at mommy or are you mad at daddy?" So they're going to go right into it. And for a child like that who is able to have a high level of perception, it's important not to lie to them. You don't want to give them too much information, certainly. They're still kids. And some parents, when they have a child who's very perceptive, they might err on the side of treating them almost like little adults, and we don't want to do that. But we also don't want to be dismissive with it. So something as simple as, "You know what, you're right. Mom and Dad are in a conflict right now, but we're working it out. And it's not your responsibility to fix it, and is there anything you need from me?" So in doing so, you're identifying and validating what the child's experience is with just a little bit of age-appropriate information, and then letting them know that it's not their responsibility to fix it or take care of it. That's really important because these kids are often very perceptive about what's going on for other people and other people's stress. And when they tune into that, the inclination then is to try to fix it. And we don't want kids overworking those abilities.
So a lot of listening, it sounds like, and talking with your child and being aware that they might have that extra sensitivity.
Exactly, yeah. So paying attention to it, notice, just being open to it, I think, is the starting point. Being respectful, knowing that high-level intuition is a very natural ability to have. It may be perplexing to parents, but if parents could just stay open and, not inflate it or deflate it, that's going to help a child greatly, because they're going to take the cue from the parent that this is just a normal part of life. And then that's also going to let the child feel safe to be able to bring their concerns or worries to the parent that they might stumble upon from the kinds of information that they pick up on in the world. For example, trying to figure out, what do I do about, the stress that I feel in my classroom when I notice that my friends aren't talking out their conflict, or just things that they notice in the family. If they're wronged for that and shamed for that, then pretty soon they learn to be very quiet about it, and they might even shut it down. And the problem with that is that they can start to cut off from their sense of self-trust. And then that's something that they have to recover later in life as adults. And we really can prevent that from happening.
So almost even validating that, and helping them understand, I would think, that hey, you have this gift, you're very intuitive, you sense things maybe more than other people, and letting them express that.
Exactly. Right.